Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Power Within podcast. And in this episode, I have a returning fantastic guest. I think I've done over 30 episodes of the Power Within podcast, and looking at the stats and figures of all those episodes, I think it's the second most watched episode out of all those episodes is with Sharon Ledwith, um, my friend and colleague, hypnotherapist based in Anthenry in Galway, and I'm delighted to have her back on the podcast here again for the second episode of season three. Sharon, how are things?
Trevor, great. Thanks for having me back.
It's great to have you back on. I think I see you're making a big impact out there. I've seen a few articles in the paper, in the Irish Times and Evening Herald, that you're getting the hypnotherapy message out there to the general public.
Yeah, so a lot of changes since the last time I was on, which is great. And I suppose it's going with that message and that drive that I have, for change, and that change can happen. So, yeah, exciting times, exciting times.
Great stuff, great stuff. And I did read through the article. It was a fantastic article, and like you went into your story. Would you like to share some of that story here, just to again to share with our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I suppose my mission now and my purpose now is, and we always talk about like the journey's hero or the hero's journey, and why we do things and why we're so passionate about things. And I suppose for me, it was always, around helping people change because I've changed so much in my life. But my real passion is, preventing suicide. I do believe the suicide is preventable. I do believe that, we are in a place now, unfortunately, that the services are, you know, um, in high demand. And people just cannot reach the services like CAMS and, all of these kind of things that, children, adolescents and adults need. So for me, it is about, talking about my journey through suicide, losing my brother through suicide 24 years ago now, and then my own journey through suicide. And that was really with the Irish Independent, where I actually had done three interviews. So I had done an interview on hypnotherapy with her, I had done an interview on weight
Right.
loss with
Okay.
her, and I had done an interview with grief with her. So I suppose the three of them kind of brought up the same thing, the same thing that like change can happen. And again, it's all down, for me, it's down to constant spaced repetition. But if we look at hypnotherapy, what is hypnotherapy? It's a focused state in a certain situation. So all of these things that I made changes in my life have been through focused states. Hypnotherapy then came into my life, and that was, a game changer for me, but also then for my clients. So when I was talking on the Irish Independent about losing my brother to suicide, sometimes we are kind of like in that state that we talk about, obviously, the loss of my brother, which again put a huge impact on our life. But really, it's when we go into the people who survive, it's the people who, live, with the death and the grief and all of that. And that for me was a huge thing because when my brother died, and if we talk about energy wise, and I think we talked about this a little bit on the last time as well, we have
Yeah.
a root chakra. So we have, a chakra at our coccyx bone. And when we get such a traumatic information or, news like that, we change neural pathway in that moment. Because for me, and as I said in the newspaper, for me when the people came up to tell me, so I was living in Dublin at the time, and when they came up to tell me that Colin had passed away, I almost had a sense that I knew he did. But like when they told me, like I changed neural pathway in that moment to survive. And it was just like a go, 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 whatever I can do to keep me standing to actually process this information, that's what happened. So I went into this survival. Obviously, when you have such an
Mm.
impact, and suicide, 24 years ago wouldn't have been as talked about as it is now. There's still stigma, and that's why
Yeah.
I suppose that's why I'm speaking out about my two suicides attempts, is because there is still stigma attached to it. Some people don't want to talk about it. And I only did an interview there with a lady in Spain a couple of weeks ago, and as I was saying, as parents and as partners or siblings, we're afraid to ask that question. We're afraid to ask, do you have suicidal thoughts? Are you suicidal? Because we think in our mind that we're going to put that thought in their head. And it's the biggest misconception. It is one of the biggest misconceptions, because I know that if I had this information that I have now, when Colin was alive, because we did see changes in his behavior. We did see like certain changes in behavior, maybe a little bit more reactive, where he was
Mm.
always just this bubbly, happy-go-lucky person. Um, but let's just say if I had known those things, that it's actually okay to ask those questions, then I would have asked him that question, and then whether he said yes, I do have suicidal tendencies, or I do think about suicide, then we know what avenue to go. If he said, oh my God, no, like I would never think about that, then obviously then we know that, okay, well, maybe he doesn't need these other services, but he still needs help. So, that's for me now.
Yeah.
That's why I share my story, because when I went into that survival mode after getting that news, what happened then was everything became reactive for me. So my whole life then became a survival, just keep going, just keep going. So I suppressed so much emotion. I suppressed so much emotion. I used again like alcohol to suppress more of that. So I didn't want to feel. So that
Mm.
whole thing about not feeling um, kind of the emotion. And we know that like emotion's like a pressure cooker. So it just builds and builds and builds until
Yeah.
eventually we lose control of it. It flips its lid, whatever way you want to kind of think about it. The amygdala is just sending adrenaline and cortisol all the time because I'm in a
Sure.
state of survival.
Sure. And
So
you were using alcohol to kind of release that kind of pressure then, were you?
absolutely. So
Yeah.
alcohol just numbed the pain, didn't
Yeah.
take it away, it just numbed it. So it was that thing of drinking alcohol and then maybe a day or two later, I'd have the come down from the alcohol, and then I'd also have the suppressed emotion. So
Mm.
then I was in this state of, again, survival, and I was in this state. And I always say as well, especially when it comes to suicide, some people might say, it's a selfish act. But really, it's not unless you're in it that you really understand that you actually do think you're a burden. You feel like, and as I said in another podcast I did, or maybe it was on the newspaper as well, it is that thing of like I had just seen my mom and dad, and my siblings lose my brother to suicide.
Mm.
And then, when you're in that, so I'd already seen that logically part of it, I knew it, but then subconsciously I had all of this stuff that was, it's like, I'm just a burden on people. I'm really just, too much of a burden on them right now. So then I just didn't want to be here. And there was the grief of I just wanted to see my brother one last time. So logically, I knew I couldn't see him again. But subconsciously, and with all the suppression, it was just like, if I could just see him one more time, if I could just see him one more time. And for me, my two suicide attempts were so different. The first one was very much, let's say a reactive one that like I didn't think about it. I wasn't there sitting drinking alcohol and thinking about it. I was in my own house in Dublin because I lived in Dublin. I went back there very early after Colin passed, and I was only 21 at the time. And this was before my 21st birthday, or maybe it was after my 21st. I think it was after my 21st birthday. So
Mm.
I was in that house. My friend was going back to Finland. I was listening to really sad songs. And it was like, I can't even explain it now. I couldn't even probably go back there even if I tried. But it was like I was crying from a depth. It was like there was just such a hole in my stomach that I was just crying from a depth that I could never even experience now. I don't hope so. Anyways,
Yeah.
again,
Sure.
but in that moment, then something just switched. Something switched. I don't remember anything after listening to that music. I don't remember anything. I just remember waking up in the hospital and everybody around me. So for me, that action that I took, the girl who was my housemate who was going back to Finland, she was Finnish. her plane got delayed by 6 hours, and she came back to the house and she found me, and that's how I ended up going to hospital. And then the second suicide attempt, again, which again, I never went to counseling after it. I never got any support after it. I did, just drink. I went back into that thing of, alcohol. And then the second suicide attempt was, it was thought provoked. I just, every thought was, I'm just a burden. I'm just, again, just wanted to see my brother. And then the action for that, then my neighbor actually found me and brought me to the hospital.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's why I talk about it. I talk about it because, for me, my brother passed away, and I've survived twice. And I remember actually waking up in the hospital after the second suicide attempt. And I had this feeling, it was almost like a peace came over me. It's hard to explain. It's almost like a peace came over me. And it was like, you're not going anywhere, Sharon. So you better change.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I can't explain it, but that's just the feeling that it was. It was just like, you are not going anywhere. So you have to change. Now, it still took me 10 years to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
But once I was ready for that, once I was ready for that change, and I met that lady, as I said before, and she did energy work on me, that was it. Everything, just my whole life, then the whole trajectory of my life changed, because I went into almost into service, because I was saying, if I can change, and I've just put in this 14 years of absolute chaos, if I can change, then
Yeah.
anybody else can change. And we have that ability to
Sure.
change. We have that, even if we don't feel like we want to be here, or even if we, don't understand our feelings. And that's what a lot of people, would come into me for. And especially as well, teenagers. We have three secondary schools here in Anthenry, and, I work really, really closely with them. And like I say to people all the time, it's okay that you don't know what that feeling is, and it's okay to have that feeling, not to understand it. But we do
Mm.
have to, again, look into them, and we do have to say, okay, well, how can I make a change on that? How does that look?
Is there still, like, I mean, is there still a huge problem out there, like when it comes to suicide? I know, like, I live here in Waterford City, folks, and one of the saddest things I see every so often is, the helicopter kind of over the river. And usually when you kind of you see that, you go, oh, somebody's jumped in the river, and they're looking to pull them out.
Yeah,
And it's like it's quite frequent.
yeah.
So do you think, Sharon, like, since the time when your brother passed away, that things have like changed when it comes to this? Or, like, is there more help out there now? Is there more awareness? Like, have things changed in that regard?
I think definitely more awareness. Like, we are definitely more aware, obviously, because Darkness into Light, and I run Darkness into Light in Athenry every year. So that's when you go out to the 5K walk. But again, there's awareness, like, but for me, we don't talk enough about suicide. So there's still that stigma with the word suicide.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, there's just still
Yeah,
that word.
yeah,
And actually, when I did the paper, and people, when I did the paper, people reached out and they had said, that these people had passed, 6 years ago, a father, a mother, a sibling, and they still can't say how they passed, because they still can't say that, the stigma that, my mom or my dad passed through suicide.
mm,
So there's where the stigma is. So what does that do for the person who can't speak, that, I've always said my brother passed by suicide, because it's about getting rid of that stigma, and the more
yeah,
that we can kind of just change that stigma around suicide, the more then we can talk openly. And I think that's what's happening. So when we talk about, organizations and stuff, there's loads of organizations, out there, but they're not funded. So they all need to get funding, like PA to House. So they all need to get funding and to keep these things, but they're oversaturated. So people then fall in, and I know one person who went to one of these organizations. They had their initial assessment in July, and then they only got their appointment. And like, we're talking about a 13-year-old kid here, 13-year-old child. So they only got their appointment then the day before the storm, that big storm that was here in February, was it? So
Yeah.
you're talking like who falls through the gap there? So many
Yeah.
people fall through that gap that here's your initial assessment, July, here you go in February, here's your appointment. What happens in that? We lose confidence, we lose self-worth, we lose self-belief, we lose the belief that actually somebody's going to help me. So this is why I'm always saying, like, we've got to bridge that gap. We have to, people are just waiting on waiting lists, whereas there are therapists out here who can bring relaxation, who can, again,
Sure.
I would work a lot with anxiety
Sure.
when I do, yeah,
And that, Sharon, sorry to cut across you, that life experience that you have, that you've been through, and like that journey is like, I'm sure, standing to you now that you're able to, resonate and connect with people in your clients in similar situations. Because, similar to like I was talking to, I had Mark Richardson on the first episode of the podcast there last week. And, we get into discussion how like his time in the police force in England and the different traumatic experiences that he witnessed and he had to go through have, and his journey have made him a better, therapist, because it's not just about having the certifications on the wall. It's about having that life experience as well, isn't it? That we can bring to the table so that we can connect in with our clients and be able to provide that help that they need.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why, they talk about that hero's journey, and I think there's a lot of it on YouTube. Like if you go into that and you look into I know Carl Smith was the one who introduced us to it maybe 2 years ago. And it is that thing of, if you look into it, what's your why? We all have a why, and maybe we don't have to have the extremes of seeing really, really negative stuff. And, obviously, when I was going through that journey, sometimes I would think, God, Jesus, you could have given me a little bit shorter than 14 years,
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I think that was taking it a bit far,
Yeah, yeah.
But I do see now, whereas like there were traumatic times, I do see now, the variety of people I can help. So it's not only with grief, again, because obviously my weight loss, there's weight loss there, because my passion and my drive for helping people. I will connect with so many people, all the time. But it comes back to any kind of time that I feel that we have been in any situation, and we've had the ability, or we've had the blessing, or whatever you want to call it, to come out of those situations with a new thought pattern, with a new train of thought. Then I believe, it's up to us then to be able to help the other people who just can't see the light right now. And that's what therapists do, and that's what hypnotherapists do as well.
Sure.
They're bringing that change, and the person is changing themselves. But we're a very important part of their journey, and that's why I always say I always go on that journey with them, because it's amazing when you see people create change.
And I'm sure that authenticity comes across from yourself, that like, you have that kind of, you've had that experience, that you've lived it, and like, you can really provide a great platform for change for them when they come to see you.
Absolutely.
Like,
But, I live an authentic life. So for me, it's like I live my practice. If I'm telling somebody to listen to a recording, I'm going to listen to the recording. If I tell people to go and do 10,000 steps a day, I'll be doing 10,000 steps a day. So authenticity for me is doing the things that I say I'm going to do. So when people come into my practice, and I know as well, working with you as well, it is that
mm,
thing of, you know, being authentic is your best self,
yeah,
because we can't be anybody else. There's no point in thinking, oh, I'll do this when I become that, or I'll do this. We have to be authentic in everyday actions. We have to be authentic because we're making connections with people every day. And if we're in our authentic self, then we allow them to be in their authentic self. And
yeah.
then that's another how change happens. So as I say, for me, I definitely am somebody who lives everything I do.
And I know that from knowing you. I know, folks, I can vouch for that. I can second that. And I know that, Sharon, you're involved in a lot of projects at the minute, including one, folks, if you haven't heard about already, myself and Sharon are got together and we're bringing our MindWell at Work training program to all hypnotherapists, coaches, well-being practitioners out there, to basically increase the scope of the work that they do to the corporate world and
And
provide,
it's so important.
provide that
So, so
training
important.
to the corporate world because, like, in the modern day workplace as well, we know how much stress is a big factor there. Stress reduction, health and well-being. If a happy employee in work is a happier person outside work, and vice versa. And the management of the top companies are putting health and wellness as a priority now.
Yeah.
And so
And I'm excited for that,
they need our help,
because
don't they?
they do. And again, this is based, why I started going into wellness companies and doing wellness days. So for me, I worked in a factory for 11 years. So I worked in a factory as a product builder. And then I did, loads of other stuff within that company. So I know if there was something, and that's why I started going in doing wellness days for people, because, it's like, and it's not everybody, but, it's like a bag of apples. If you've got one bad apple, it will filter out through the rest. So it's about coming in, it's about giving the tools and the techniques to, again, because some people have the mindset, I'm going into work, I'm going to make money, I'm going to come out of work, but then there are other people as well who just don't have the confidence, or they don't like their job, or they don't, whatever. So it's about
Sure.
that. Yeah. So for me, when I used to go in and do the wellness days, like, you're giving them those tools, you're giving them the stress releases that they can use out in their own environment. So then
Absolutely.
they're coming into work then, and not in a strange environment anymore, in a more uplifting environment that everybody's equal. So it's exactly what you said. If you've got, a positive workforce, you've got more positive production. So sometimes the focus is on production, production, production. Let's get I know it, for 11 years I
Yeah,
was in
yeah,
it.
yeah. I
And
remember telling you that I done I completed the wellness program successfully and went
yeah,
fantastic for a company here in Waterford, Celtic. And there was one particular moment during that program when they came in to the session, and you could feel the energy was, there was stress there. They were after coming from a meeting. There was a lot of firefighting and arguing and all that stuff
hmm
going on. And, for the first half an hour, like, you could sense it, that was there. But what I did say was, which, this is true, that, can you put that aside for the moment? Because, think of the bigger picture here and step back, because, you don't know where you're going to be in a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, and that the tools and techniques I'm going to be teaching you here, are going to stay with you for the rest of your life.
yes,
Because it's not just like in this moment, to have the ability to step out of this particular moment that you're in now, and use the tools and techniques like the breath work, mindfulness, visualization, a few hypnotic techniques in there as well,
self-hypnosis. Like,
self-hypnosis,
go
anchoring.
home and bring that,
Yeah,
and that is the thing. Like, I mean, you give them change, because again, like that, what would have happened, let's say if you weren't there, what would have happened was everybody would have been in that energy for the whole week. It would have
yeah.
spiraled, everybody would have talked about it, everybody'd have their opinion. And then like that,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. I mean, actually, like it goes back, we can connect in it back to our authentic self as well, because I actually, on the break, went out and came back in and just had a very genuine chat with them, to say, look, I'm here to help you guys. And, I can only help you if you allow me to help you. And, the success of today's session depends on you guys and on your input. and let's have a great session. Let's put everything to the side that's going on in your workplace for the moment, and let's get into some really empowering health and wellness techniques. And we had the best session ever. It was brilliant. And that was so the program, the training, the wellness training program that myself and Sharon folks are going to be teaching is a ready to go structure that is proven to work, and it's ready to go, and it's all laid out in terms of like, how to do, how to plan, how to prepare, how to implement, how to market, and how to go about, for example, facilitating the different types of workshops, to get everyone participating in it. It's the program is 6 sessions, and it covers all aspects of health and well-being, especially when it comes to in the workplace. And like the cool thing about it as well is that you get to kind of role play different real life scenarios with them, and you can really see the benefits of the work that you're doing with them.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, you can see, like, from the first session to the end, there was a real 9 day was like, a huge change. And not only with the communication between the managers and employees, but also like the feedback I got from the changes that they had made in their personal lives, at home, or they're calmer, more relaxed, more focused, and they were able to kind of see things with a different perspective, I guess, without magnifying them or getting them out of proportion. We blow things out of proportion, don't we? And we can, in that moment, we can not see the wood from the tree, so to speak. So the program is a fantastic program, and myself and Sharon, we're really looking forward to getting it out there and sharing it with everybody.
And
And
I'm excited as well. It's because,
yeah,
me and you are only two people, and you
mm,
get as well. Obviously, I teach how to hold a wellness day, in the companies.
mm,
So, as I say, me and you are only two people, but there are hundreds of companies in
yes,
Ireland alone, that need to
yes,
be served. So, like, me and you could keep doing what we're doing, and can go into companies. But as I say, we are only limited because we have our businesses, and we can only do maybe one or two companies at a time. I think the highest I've ever had was 3 companies on the go, and that was quite stretched, even energy wise. So for us to come together and to be teaching maybe a yoga teacher
mm,
who or a hypnotherapist, who already has a business but wants to go in and do wellness. They have this program, they go and teach the program, and you can bring in yoga, and you can bring in, there's already hypnotherapy in it, but you can bring in these aspects. You bring your own self into it.
that's right,
So I would have
right.
for mine, I would have always brought in energy work.
That's right.
You
I'm
know,
bringing your own personality into it,
that's it. And
and
that's
that's
what
so
we
important.
teach.
That,
Yeah, to bring in your own personality.
yeah,
You have the structure of the program. You have the whole program, the whole manuals, everything like that. But then we teach you how to bring in the aspect of yourself into it. So it's not just going in and rolling out this. It's authentic to you.
that's it.
And then that's what I'm saying. Then you get people out there, practitioners out there, facilitators out there, to every company in every
Yeah,
country.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
And don't be afraid to tell your own story. Like that was the thing that really allowed me to grow and flourish and to express myself while I was implementing, when I was doing facilitating the wellness program with Celtic, because I was able to relate my own experience of the corporate world. Like, I spent 12 years working in the corporate world. I done a degree in quality management back in the 90s,
wow.
1997, and I ended up
Day
working.
over 20.
Well, there you go. That's a different, seems like a lifetime ago, Sharon, but there you go. But Yeah, I ended up working for Ericsson, Ericsson mobile phone
Oh yeah.
in Clonskeagh in Dublin, and I worked for Sun Life Financial here in Waterford as a quality engineer. And you know, I can relate to, and I know you can too, the whole like, the stress that comes with going into the workplace because folks, like if you're working like a 9 to 5 or whatever 8 to 5 role, the reality is you're going to be spending 40, 50, 60 hours of your week there,
Yeah.
and they
And
add
how
up
many
around
years? Like if you
over
think
how
about
many
how many
years?
years.
Over many years. And I remember when I left college and I went into Ericsson, my first company, and you're all enthusiastic and you're career oriented and focused, and you want to get up that ladder and you want to, play the game and do all the right things and work hard and but everything else. But eventually, like, you realize that like what they don't teach you in college, how to kind of manage particular situations and your thoughts and emotions and how to sometimes like it can be a lot of pressure to kind of if you're in a certain role to like to play that role. I
Yeah.
remember my own experience of after a couple of years in the corporate world, I'd be going into the car park and you'd be kind of like taking a deep breath and putting on the work mask, the work mask, and then like you keep the work mask on all day, like yes, going to all the meetings and all the stuff that comes along with that, and then you come back out into the car park, and then work mask comes off, and that experience of how I was able to eventually manage that
Yeah.
to align the two because it's hard to like to like switch off and like with like the feedback I got from the guys the wonderful people at Celtic is how they have the same everyone has the same challenge of like going
Yeah.
home have lives and to switch off and to not bring the work home with them because you can
Yeah.
sit at home like worrying about the next project that you need to have in and we know all about hypnotherapists like the monkey mind and
Yeah.
overthinking and so the
And I like to come from the aspect just of the females. So,
yeah.
females nowadays are, CEOs and they're career driven and they are again mothers and they're trying to balance all of this.
Mm.
But sometimes in a highly masculine energy, they can kind of come into that thing of being pushing and they might have three or four masks goes on at the same time because we're feeling beings. So for me, it is really as well about that is to release those stresses for them. The program is so fantastic and how it's going, and then allowing them to have that self hypnosis to be able to bring that then into whatever aspects they want, whether as a mother, whether as a carer, whether as the CEO of a company, or working their way up to that. So
That's
yeah,
it. That's
just
it. Even the small things about, going into a meeting, being able to focus, being able to get the best out of yourself and your
just be
ability and your
confident to be
to be
standing in there.
confident. Yeah,
Like I don't know
yeah,
how many people I hypnotize, in my program for they say, "Oh, Sharon, I've got a presentation. I just want to be
yeah.
able to be confident in the presentation." I had a lovely guy who he like he was so nice, but he kind of stepped out of his role for a while. Through a little bit of stress, and then he kind of put on a bit of weight. But he always remembered when he was doing presentations that he'd be in this slim shirt. So he just wanted to be in the slim shirt. So we did the weight loss for that. But then the confidence just was knocked a bit. So then we did a couple of sessions on the confidence. And I still laugh at today because he was going into the presentation anyways. And he texted me after and he said, "Oh my gosh, Sharon, I felt on top of the world." He said, in there, he said, "I listened to your recording all the way in the car." I was like, "Gosh." So he was listening to the hypnosis all the way in the car, and I was like, "No, you shouldn't have
Mm.
been doing that." But
Oh
so,
no.
yeah, but you
Yeah,
know, thank God he lived to tell the story. But it is that thing of, it's when you are having that confidence, and that's what the program gives you, the confidence. It gives you the confidence and the belief in yourself to no matter who you're with, no matter where you're with the
that's
production
right.
or with the management, and it's even that confidence to go and ask for a pay rise or go and ask for, you know, Some people have that fear of going and asking for a holiday. So it's about bringing that confidence in, like no matter where you are in that company, you're seen and you're heard.
That's
You know,
right. That's
we
right. And
need
whether you're a hypnotherapist, whether
oh
you're a health and well-being coach, whether you're like a
a
yoga
life coach.
practitioner, a life coach,
I have a life
yeah,
coach that's coming on the program as well.
yeah,
Who does her thing. I have another lady who is going to do. She does meditation, so she's going to do the program and then bring her meditations into it. So it's
yeah. And so we've like a proven successful structure that
yeah,
you can tailor and change to meet your own needs.
and then you
And
can serve
that's
the
the
country.
yeah, and that's the beauty about it. And to do it in a way that is not only right for you, but right for the company as well. Because remember, folks, it's a big difference in, say, a group coming to see us as whether you're a hypnotherapist or a life coach or a yoga practitioner, it doesn't matter. If a group is coming to see us, well, they're coming with the intention of the change. If you're actually going into a company, you're going to have a variety of different mindsets there. Some will have buy-in into, they may have experienced some, say, yoga before, or even hypnotherapy, or, some form or modality of wellness change. But there may be others that might be more on the skeptical side, right? That's the
Yeah,
reality of
that's
of the
it.
world
Yeah,
we live in. And we have that integrated into the wellness program, how to go about that, how to get everyone on board, because at the end of the day, it's all about communication, isn't it? It's all about
absolutely.
getting everyone on board, because the success of this wellness program, once you go out there with the wellness program ready to go, but it does depend on making sure that you get everybody on board. Because once you get everybody on board and enthusiastic and working towards the same goal, then that's where the magic happens.
That's it. And where you can stand in that, that's what we teach as well, the confidence in that. I remember I did a wellness day and it was probably one of my first ones, so it was a long time ago, and I did a meditation in it. And this guy, one guy, he didn't close his eyes. So I was just like, oh my God, he's not playing ball here now, this guy. So in that moment, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't want to panic. So I just said, oh, you don't have to close your eyes, just listen to my voice. So I went out
Yeah,
anyways, and I said,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
that lad didn't close his eyes. It didn't work for him." But it's funny
yeah.
because I said I'd give a recording, and I gave an essential oil as well. And the very next morning, he was the first person to ask me for the recording, and ask me the name of the oil that I gave them. See, this
But
is
there
the
you go. There
this
you
is the
go.
thing, and this is what we do in the course. We build that
Yeah.
confidence because we never know who we're impacted.
No,
And
no.
our own inner kind of lack of confidence or lack of self-worth might hold us back to say, oh, well, that was, not a great one. I won't say a bad word, but that wasn't a great one. But as
Yeah, yeah.
I said,
I
that's
have a
what I
similar
thought.
one as well, that during the wellness program for Caltech, there was a particular gentleman who met during the break and had a chat with him, lovely man. And he turned around to me, he says, Trevor, he says, I'm not really into this. This is the first session. I'm not really into this. I'll let you know, I'm not really into this health and wellness stuff. He says, my wife is into it, all right, but look, it's just not my cup of tea. The way I relax is, out on my boat fishing, and I just get away from everything, just out on the boat fishing. Oh, geez, I'm out on the boat fishing, he says, nothing can bother me, nothing can touch me. So, so after the break, we brought them into this visualization, and where did I bring them? Like, out on the boat fishing, and you could see like he was like, getting really into it, like, and all of a sudden it was for him. So little things like that, like, can make a big difference. To always be kind of like listening and taking it all in, and then making little changes that make a big difference.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's not all you have going on, Sharon. I know that I've seen you're out there, you're doing a
I'm
project
doing,
with
yeah,
Cormac Colin on the weight
yeah.
reduction side of it as well. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that is an 8 week online program that me and Cormac put together, and that is going to start on the 6th of May. So it runs 8 weeks, and like that, like with you as well, we've tried and we've tested it, and the average that people are losing is 1.5 stone in the 8 weeks. So again, like that, it's not a diet. It's very much, it's called Slim from Within. So it's all about, hypnotherapy. It's all hypnotherapy. I talk about energy in it a little bit, but it's all about slimming from within. It's all about changing your mindset around food, changing your mindset around, obviously we do the hypnotherapy for, getting kind of rid of any habits and behaviors. But then it's all about visualization. It's all about confidence, within your body. And actually we had a review there of a lady who finished the one in January, and she had said that she went, she's lost now, released now. She has maybe 3 stone gone, and she went on holidays with her friends. And she said, one of the greatest compliments she got was that, not that the friend said that she looked great in her body or she lost weight, it was that they said, we can see a difference in you. You're like a different person. You're more jolly. You're more up.
Yeah.
That was the greatest compliment in the whole 8 weeks that she got, is that her friends seen that she was different. It wasn't about the weight. It wasn't about, how pretty she looked or anything like that, how slim she looked in her body, because she did, but it was her energy, how she felt different in herself. And she said, like, she sent us a voice note, and it's just amazing, so I'm doing that with Cormac, and that's exciting and fun as well, so it's great to work with people. And like, for any hypnotherapist or any therapist who's listening to this, find someone who you connect with, or find someone who you have, because we great fun down in Waterford. I've listened to Bob
That's
Proctor
right.
all the way down, all the way 7 hours of a journey. But like that, I will go anywhere. I'll go anywhere to work with people. So,
Yeah.
I do say, collaborations are brilliant. I'm actually in another one with a psychologist, and we're creating a program for teenagers, parents and teenagers. So half of it's for the parents, and then the other half is the parents would work with the teenagers and adolescents, for, again, anxieties, and all of these things. So collaborations are really, really good. I've really only stepped into, I did loads of work for the last 9 years on my own. And probably in the last year, I've come into the collaborations, and they're just so great. Like, they're just so fun. Like, it's full on. I'm not going to say it's not it's not a quiet life I have, but it's really, really rewarding. Like, it really is. So if anybody's out there that's even thinking about doing a collaboration or would like to, just reach out to the person. It's like Cormac reached out to me. I reached out to you with an idea, and then the next minute it ended up being the two of us. So, I would say just reach out to anybody that you feel like you're connected with, and do those collaborations.
Definitely. Well, in terms of like our collaboration, MindWell at Work, folks, it's the 6th of June, first session,
Yeah,
right? 6th of June. And so you can get your places are limited.
that's
So get
it.
your
Yeah,
name
it's
down.
online.
Get
It's
your name
online
down.
for the first round, and then we'll be
Yes,
bringing it eventually into a 2-day workshop. So
right.
online is good because we meet up and we talk, and they're recorded.
And we're
So you
doing it in
can
person then in September, right? September, isn't it?
September, yeah, 2 days
September.
in September, yeah.
Yeah, 2 days in September. So starting online, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it. And it's six weeks, isn't it? We're doing.
8 weeks,
Or
because
yeah,
we're
eight, even eight,
eight,
that's
eight
right.
weeks.
Eight. That's okay.
I'll send you
Okay.
that memo, Trevor.
Right. Send me the memo.
So it's
But
eight
yeah,
weeks because we're given 2 bonus weeks. We're given 2 bonus weeks,
yeah,
again, just to build that confidence around it, and to make sure that everybody is confident. So the 2 days, because we'll be there and we'll be working with you, and you'll be into interaction. You will be interacting as well in the Zooms, because we can go into breakout rooms and stuff like that. But there's just 2 extra bonus weeks in the online, just to make sure that everybody is really, really confident. And like that, we give you the marketing to go to, and how to go and approach these companies. It will be CPD accredited as well. So if you are somebody who is in an
yeah,
organization that you have to do the continuous learning, you will get a CPD cert for this as well. So that was exciting for us to do as well, and for that to come true for us, because there's a lot of work in getting the CPD accreditation. So we put all of that together. So as I say, that will be an extra bonus, and especially when you're going into the company as well, that it's been accredited. So again, it gives you that extra kind of bit of what would you call that? Kudos. I don't know what you would call
Yeah,
it.
well, yeah.
To go in there
Yeah.
and to say, look, I have done this. It's
Mm.
accredited, and I want to bring this into your company because I want wellness. And remember, they're funded as well, so they have to tick boxes. So many companies out there get funding for this. So, but we teach you all that in the program. So I won't even go into that in your podcast, Trevor.
Absolutely. And will we give them the price details and any?
We can send the link. We can post the link in under if they wanna go and have a look at it.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We
it's
put the
something
link
that
both in the description, in the link here in the podcast link. So check it out if you're interested, and we'd love to have you. Really
yeah,
would.
absolutely.
Great
It'll be
stuff.
exciting.
Definitely exciting. We're excited. So Sharon, I have one eye on the time, and it's been great having you on again. And I know, as I said, folks, out of all the podcasts I've done, Sharon's the one that we've done, the first one we've done, is up the second most viewed, right? So it's
Stay up
fantastic,
there.
way
There's a
up there.
competition now. There's a competition for level 3 or for the podcast season 3 now.
There
Sharon.
definitely is. There definitely is. And after the Irish Hypnotherapy conference a couple of weeks ago, I have to say, I'm thankful that I have a long list of
Yeah, that's exciting.
guests, special
So
guests.
many interesting people.
Yeah, and this is going to be the best season of the podcast. I think some amazing people. I'm going to have some familiar faces as well coming back on, like Sharon, and
And it's good because remember, it shows
yeah.
people how much we change in a year as well. It shows people that,
Mm.
because sometimes we might be in the mindset of, oh, this is, you know, okay, are they still doing the same thing? Or maybe I'll be still doing the same thing. And you said it there, we don't know where it would be in 5 years. Like if we had said, if you had said to me in the last podcast, where do you think you'll be in a year's time, Sharon? I wouldn't have said that I'd be working with you or working with Cormac or working with a psychologist in schools. I wouldn't be saying, I'd be saying, well, sure, I'd probably be still doing my clinic, So I think it highlights as well how much we can change in a year. How much if we're around positive people, if we are, get up and go, and if we want that drive to help people, that we can change, and opportunities come into our life all the time. And it's like, is it Russell Brand, is that his name? He says, if somebody offers you an opportunity, say yes and learn how to do it later.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Say yes
Exactly. And you
and
wouldn't have
learn.
thought you'd have the article in, sorry, I thought it was the Irish Times, it was the Irish Independent, folks,
The
isn't it?
Irish
The
Independent and the
Irish
Herald,
Independent.
and I
Yeah.
might be on something now in a couple of weeks, but I'll leave it out there as a
Well, there you
surprise.
go. And didn't your business win an award as well a few
So I
months
won a She Rose Award last
ago?
November as well. So there you go. Like my thing is, and it
Brilliant.
goes back to that thing of, I don't have any special gifts or anything. I just have a drive to
I
help
know you're a
people.
bit modest there now, Sharon,
No,
saying
I don't. I don't have anything special. I have the gift of
come
talking.
on now.
But I have a drive. I have a
You
huge
definitely
passion,
have a drive.
and I have a passion for helping people. And I know anybody who's listening here, because the people who are on here, are in the same environment as us, and want to help other people, and that's why we do what we do. So if you have that, just believe in yourself enough to know that these things will and opportunities will come into your life, and just be
Definitely,
open to them
definitely.
all. That's what I say. Be open to everything that comes your way.
So, Sharon, I'm inspired by you. And folks, I have to say that out of all the respect I have for all the hypnotherapists that I've met over the last couple of years through the conference, Sharon is the one with the
Don't feel
best work,
embarrassed now.
well, the best work ethic. Your work ethic is first top class. And, we can all be inspired by that. Definitely me, because I can be sometimes, I need that kickstart to get up and go sometimes.
And I
But
think we all do. I think
yeah,
we all do. Like, it's not every day. Like there's days. I did a video the other day, and there's like I had got up at 5:30, and I'd done my 5, and I'd done my meditation, and I'd done everything. And then when I'd that done, it came like 7 o'clock to go to the gym. And the running commentary was like, don't bother going to the gym today. You don't have to go to the gym today. Sure. Just take the day off. So I think we all have it in some way, shape, or form. But when you put your passion in front of procrastination or anything like that. That's all I say, because who can I help today? But I can only help people if I'm the best version of myself. So
Exactly.
I have to
Exactly.
do the gym, and I have to, for me, I want to do the gym. I want to do my meditations. I want to do my continuous hypnotherapy on myself and, better myself, because again, another misconception is that, oh, if everybody else is okay, then I'll be okay. It's one of our biggest lies. If I'm okay, then everybody else will be okay.
Absolutely.
So choose you, you do what you need to do for you, and then everybody else will reap the rewards.
That's it. It starts at home, folks. And
Back to
it
self,
starts with
Trevor.
you. Yeah, it starts with you. Well, even like, myself, the kids are off on the Easter holidays now for two
Yeah.
weeks. And I have to mind definitely my mindset is to be present in their company as well when they're around me, because sometimes like everyone's different, and do what's right for you, what works for you, make it work for you, but make sure like you're looking after yourself, you're working at your own pace, because
Hmm.
what might work for Sharon, and that's fantastic, might not work for somebody else. And just
Absolutely.
find that balance that is right for you. But Sharon,
100%.
it's been
Trevor,
fantastic having you on the podcast again.
brilliant.
I've enjoyed the chat,
Yeah, me too.
and look at of course, I'll see you very soon, and I'm excited about the MindWell Work project, folks.
I'm
And
sure we can get it
keep up
done.
all the other great work that you're doing with Cormac and,
Thanks so
everyone
much.
else. And you're doing fantastic. Keep it all going. And look after yourself. I'm sure everything's going to be a fantastic success.
Brilliant.
And thanks for coming on. And we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, folks. See you, Sharon.
Bye,
Now,
Trevor.
folks, it's that time again to say goodbye. Time has flown here talking to the lovely Sharon Ledwith here on the podcast here today. And I've really enjoyed the discussion with Sharon, and I hope you have too. As I mentioned with Sharon there, I have some great guests lined up in the coming weeks. I'm really looking forward to having some great deep dives and discussions into all aspects of hypnotherapy, and not only hypnotherapy, health and well-being, and all aspects of mind, body, and spirit, health and wellness, because that's what it is. It's a combination of all three.
Mhm.
And okay, so until the next time, be good to yourselves and be good to each other, and we'll see you on the next episode of the podcast. Take care, folks. See you soon.